Okay, so here we have our table. We'll have expenditure, okay, and then it is 2012, 13, and then 2014, 15. So we have education, we have social development, we have healthcare, and then lastly we have housing. Okay, so we have education, social development, healthcare, and housing. Okay, so first when you look at education, they've given us a spend of 5.29% in 2012, and in 2014-15 it's 6.52%. Okay, and so on and so forth. The first question says, what is the benefit of presenting percentage data in a table? Okay, the reason why they're presented in a table like this is because we can easily compare amongst the different categories. We can clearly see, once I just fill in the percentages for 2012, that housing, okay, has the smallest allocation of state expenditure compared to education. Education has the highest allocation of state expenditure as a percentage of total government spend. Okay, so because it's in a table format, it's easy for us to compare and contrast the different percentage values among the different category groups. It says what information is not revealed in this table. Okay, so number one, the first thing is we don't know what the total budget amount is, the rand amount. We only know the percentages. Okay, so that is missing in the table. We don't know how much money was actually allocated in total in terms of in total government spend. So we can't work out the rand values for each of the different categories. Then the next question says, why would it be better to represent the data visually as opposed to data values in a table? Okay, so now when we're looking at our visual display of our data, for instance, if I was just to do a small graph here on the top, okay, let's just say that I'm just graphing these percentages. We can see that if I was just doing education, and I wanted to do 2012, 2014, 15, do maybe a bar graph, okay? Then I would have something like this, a bar graph like that, showing that the expenditure has gone up from 2012 to 2013-14 for education, okay? Then I could see for social development, it would also just be, 4.61. I didn't put the amount, went up to 4.82% in 2014, so it would have also gone up. It's a bit lower than education, but it went up a bit. And then I want to see one, okay, so they all went up. The other one went up by 3.79%, okay? But because we have it now displayed in a graph visually, we can notice the trend of what's happening between the years. And we can also notice which of these have gone higher up than others. So we're noticing the change between the 2 years a bit more. We can see that, okay, with education, it went up a lot more than it did for social development. So the change between the two bar graphs will be very small for social development compared to education, where the difference in the two bar graphs will be a bit more. So when we display the graphs visually, okay, it shows the trends, okay, more easily than in a table format. Okay, name the most appropriate representation of this data and give a reason for your answer. Okay, so I've already started doing it here. The best form of representation would be your bar graph. Okay, a multiple bar graph or a double bar graph. I did a multiple bar graph, or a double bar graph would be the best because we've got one category and then we've got two of these data points. So we can nicely show on our bar graph what's happening for the different years. Okay.